Landed. When the Pilgrims landed. 400 years ago, the Pilgrims sailed to America. Their arrival changed history. Watch now. 3 videos you'll love this issue. Inside this issue, meet people who lived here before the Pilgrims. U.S. history. The Plymouth Story. The Pilgrims are famous for building a settlement called Plymouth. But do you know the whole story? As you read, underline a challenge the Pilgrims faced. Circle a challenge the Wampanoag faced. Imagine this. It's the fall of 1620. Months ago, you left your home in England and boarded a ship with your parents and other pilgrims. Soon, you'll step ashore in a new land. You wonder, what will it take to survive? Now, picture the scene from a different point of view. You're a member of a Native American community called the Wampanoag. You're on a beach, scraping out a log to make a mishoon, or canoe. You see a ship sailing toward your shore. You wonder, who are these newcomers? 400 years ago, the Pilgrims arrived in what is now Massachusetts and built a settlement they called Plymouth. The tale of the Pilgrims and the Native Americans they met is a famous chapter in American history. A long journey. The Pilgrims were 102 men, women, and children who left England to find religious freedom. In September 1620, they set sail for America on the Mayflower. The trip was hard. Storms raged, and many passengers got seasick. In November, the ship reached America. But huge challenges were still ahead. Winter was on the way, and there was little time to build shelter. The Pilgrims were also running out of food. It was too cold to plant crops. Help arrives. The Pilgrims' first winter was difficult. Half the people died, says history expert Nathaniel Philbrick. But help would soon come from the Wampanoag. The Wampanoag weren't sure what to think about the Pilgrims. In the past, English explorers had forced some Wampanoag into slavery. Explorers had also spread deadly diseases. But in March 1621, the Wampanoag formed an alliance with the Pilgrims. A Wampanoag man named Tisquantum helped the two groups communicate. Years earlier, Tisquantum had been kidnapped by explorers and enslaved in Europe. He had learned to speak English before returning to his homeland. Reason to celebrate. The two groups traded, and Tisquantum taught the Pilgrims to plant corn. He even shared a Wampanoag tip, putting dead fish in the soil to help the plants grow. Plymouth soon had a successful harvest. In the fall of 1621, the two groups met for a feast. Many people call it the first Thanksgiving. Meet the Wampanoag. The Wampanoag have lived in what is now Massachusetts and Rhode Island for more than 12,000 years. When the Pilgrims first arrived, the Wampanoag helped is now Massachusetts and Rhode Island for more than 12,000 years. When the Pilgrims first arrived, the Wampanoag helped them, but more settlers kept arriving. The Wampanoag were forced off their land. Thousands of them were killed or enslaved in wars with the settlers. Today, about 10,000 Wampanoag live in the region. Many carry on traditions, like keeping their language alive. We're still here, and we still have a thriving culture. says Wampanoag expert Darius Coombs. Map it out. Props. Help arrives. The Pilgrims' first winter was difficult. Half the people spread deadly diseases. But in March 1621, the Wampanoag formed an alliance with the Pilgrims. A Wampanoag man named Tisquantum helped the two groups communicate.
The Wampanoag Way. Meet Tashima and Storm. They're sisters. They're members of the Wampanoag tribe. The girls live typical lives in Massachusetts. They go to school. They ride bikes. They hang out and have fun. But sometimes they get to do something very special. They show others what life was like for their people 400 years ago. That's what some members of the tribe do at the Wampanoag home site. Let's go for a visit. We'll step back in time as the girls show us what life was like for the Wampanoag people in the 1620s. The Wampanoag have been living in the Northeast for thousands of years. They were the group of people that the Pilgrims met when they first arrived in America in 1620. Here we are at the home site. The sun rises. It's time to wake up. The family is cozy in their wetu. A wetu is a Wampanoag home made of branches and tree bark. It's a warm, clear day. The girls go outside and have some breakfast. Their sister cooks it over an open fire. They eat nassamp, which is hot corn porridge. They sweeten their nassamp with berries. They're a little thirsty. Time to get a drink. A spring runs through the home site. The girls dip hollowed out gourds into the water and fill them up. The water is cool and fresh. Parents encourage kids to run around, play, and have fun. The girls love to play a game called double ball. Nice catch! Kids also help the adults out with chores. The Wampanoag grow corn. Big flocks of blackbirds want to eat the corn. The girls climb up high and yell and shout at the blackbirds. They're like human scarecrows. They scare those hungry birds away. Time for a break. The girls pick some sumac berries with their dad. Then they brew them into a delicious hot tea. One more cup, please. The Wampanoag live by a river. The girls take a ride on a Mishoon to visit friends up the river. Mishoon is the Wampanoag word for boat. It's made from a tree trunk. Back at the home site, the girls grind some corn for stew. Each girl gets a turn. It's a chore, but it's also pretty fun. Their mom cooks quail over the fire. She'll put it into the stew. Looks scrumptious. The girls relax by making some beads out of clay. They'll make them into necklaces. Storm shapes one of her beads into a spiral. It's been a long, busy day. The girls are getting tired and the sun is going down.